in ways. And this is kind of a tired trope, but I do think there's something to it, that when somebody loses any sense of transcendence, that you don't believe that there's something after this world, or there's powers in this world that cannot be calibrated, that require faith, and you find you have an inner human need for that. And for the left that are atheists and agnostic, their religion is getting in your face and forcing you to be a better person, whether that's on the climate or race. And that explains the frenzy. The other thing is more, I'm not a Freudian or Jungian, but there is something to the idea that we have created, if you go to Palo Alto, California, where I work, or you go up to Woodside or Atherton or Hillsdale or the Upper West Side in New York or suburbs of Cambridge, Massachusetts or Austin, Texas, the bluest of the blue places, they're almost all, Portland, the most radical city of the United States, is 96% white. So what I'm getting at is a lot of these very wealthy white people feel more comfortable with white people, and they feel terrible that they feel more comfortable. So in the abstract, they hunt out supremacy and racism and white privilege. But in the concrete, it never affects where their kids go to school, who they have over for dinner, who they associate, with the minor exception that a very elite level of minorities who they feel comfortable with, but they do not want to be with a middle class, white or non-white, and most of the non-white are middle class. So they create this constructed caring, and I've seen it so much on the Stanford campus, where I see these white kids, and if they really believed in helping minorities, they'd come down here to Fresno or Bakersfield and tutor, or they would send their kids to Cal State Fresno or Cal State Turlock. But when you look at how they live, they're the most pretentious, envious, status-conscious people in the world. And they don't want to be around anybody but themselves, and they feel terrible about it. Just look at the luminaries of the current Democratic Party. Nancy Pelosi lives in a huge home in San Francisco in a gated Napa Valley palazzo. Gated. Mark Zuckerberg has a 50,000 square foot home on Hawaii with a wall around. They hate walls. They say they don't work. Barbara Streisand, all of these people down on the PCH in Malibu, same thing. So when you look at the schools, they worship, and it's very funny. They're all talking about we need not just proportional representation for college admissions, but what they call now things like equity admission or repertory admission. So if you're African American, you're not going to be let in regardless of your credentials at 12% of the incoming Yale or Harvard or Stanford class, but maybe 15 or 18. But when you look at the numbers, and the same is true for Latinos, there's only one rubric you can cut, and that's white males, because you're 55% women anyway, and you're getting white males that are 33% of the population down to about 15. And who does that hit if they're not a legacy, you're not a multimillionaire to give the money to buy your way in? It hits the children of the white professional classes. And so what are they doing right now? And I can attest this from firsthand knowledge. They are calling up the admissions office. They are calling up a dean. They're calling up a pro. My kid didn't get into Stanford or Harvard. What am I going to do? This is terrible. I didn't think diversity would do this to me. Or they're getting carjacked in Portland. Or somebody took their catalytic converter in Minneapolis. Or they can't go to downtown Seattle. I didn't think that this was going to happen to me. Or the Soros DA that they voted for let out somebody that just broke into their home. And so this was all, I don't want to say it was a game, but this was sort of revolutionary chic. And now the Frankenstein monster they created is going after them, and they don't like it. So they project all of these pathologies onto other people because they suffer them themselves.